Good evening and welcome to March 25th, 2024 City Council Roundtable meeting. I am Mayor Ross and tonight's meeting is brought to you live using video conferencing technology provided by Zoom and will be posted on the city's YouTube channel. Welcome to everyone. Thank you for joining us. City Clerk Dean, would you please call the roll?
Councilmember Benson.
Here.
Councilmember Watton.
Here.
Councilmember Holloway.
Here.
Councilmember Washington. Councilmember Cotton. Here. Councilmember Christensen. Councilmember Johnson.
Here.
Mayor Ross.
I am here. And Councilor Washington is requested to be excused. And I haven't heard from Councilor Christensen. I anticipate she'll probably be here in a couple of minutes. Should we go ahead and excuse Councilor Washington?
So moved. Second.
Moved by Mayor Pro Tem Holloway, second by okay. Councilor Watton. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, nay? Okay. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
We already did.
Aye
We
again.
already did. We already voted. Thank you. Okay, so she's excused.
Oh, was that second one for?
No,
Yeah.
Washington, but I'm also thinking about Christensen. Sorry.
Okay.
We will give
Was
Councilor
not recording
Christensen a
using one-
couple more minutes. So we now turn to our first item of business, which is to approve the agenda. And this is just for the roundtable. Council, may I have a motion to approve the agenda?
So moved.
Second.
Moved by Mayor Pro Tem Holloway, second by Councilor Cotton. Any discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, nay? And motion passes and the agenda is approved. So this evening's special business is the comprehensive plan. We're going to start the transportation element. This draft element was updated based on your input during the March 11th workshop, and we'll continue with item number 4 of this element. Councilor or Community Development Director Emily Artecha is to facilitate the review process.
Thank you, Mayor Ross. I'd like to just begin with another brief recap of where we're at and where we're headed. Tonight we have the roundtable on transportation and capital facilities. You also have in your packet, if you wanted to do advanced reading, economic development. We'll go over the schedule and the process overview. We'll go over a policy summary, and then we'll begin the review and the discussion. You've seen this flow chart before. Just wanted to remind you about how the comprehensive plan is inputted with community engagement, the planning commission meetings, the council committee workshops, and then of course these roundtables. We've also got technical analysis and supported documentation being prepared. All of that drives into the draft plan, including agency review, and the output is a final comprehensive plan which can be adopted. Seen this calendar before. I just circled over on the left, transportation and capital facilities. We're moving right along. You can expect, as I mentioned a few seconds ago, economic development on April 8th and the environment on April 22nd. And then we can all, do a round of applause or pat yourself on the back, your choice. Because you'll be done. Your work will be completed on this for the most part. Transportation policy review summary. You saw this before. Some of the 3 big areas are safe and efficient transportation systems, equitable and accessible systems, and air quality. And in these boxes, there are some highlights of what you've been reviewing and what's yet to be reviewed. If we have the opportunity, which I'm hopeful for, we'll move on to a policy review of capital facilities and utilities. I did circle here some key concepts that are in the draft policies, like undergrounding utilities, water conservation, quality drinking water, the establishment of levels of service, and then you've seen this historically marginalized impacts or vulnerable populations before. This is a preview for when we get ready to do economic development. 3 areas of focus in these policies include the recruitment of businesses, facilitation of economic development, and sustained natural and built features. All right, without further ado, let's go ahead and get into where we left off on transportation. I'm just going to stop sharing and reshare where we have the strikeout and underlined version in your packet. Alrighty then. So we last finished policy or goal 3 and the associated policies. I'd like to propose that we continue the same process we had before. I will read the goal. And then I will just read the letter associated with the draft policy, and you feel free to stop me at any given moment before I read the next letter. So, number 4, encourage a system of safe trails and corridors, including lighting that supports non-motorized travel for commuting, local trips, and healthy physical activity. A, B, C, D, E.
Dang, girl, you like a speed reader?
Slower. A little slower.
Counselor Johnson,
So on the multi-use trails. There
Number
are.
are you on?
Sorry, this is B.
Did you say number B?
Number B, that's
Okay.
right. Yeah, there are two that I can think of, mainly 202 and Snoqualmie Parkway, one of which is currently owned and operated and maintained by the city for the time being. The other one not. It becomes more challenging to add in those extra kinds of pieces of infrastructure. So I think that one possibility would be to utilize some of downtown, which is less frequented by cars, as an option, as kind of a way to go around for bicycles. So it's one thing I wanted to mention, but the other thing that I wanted to mention here was that my vision for Snoqualmie 2050 to 2060, at some point in the future, I'd really like there to be a walking path on the other side of Snoqualmie Parkway. It really isn't fair for so many of our citizens to have to cross the street and go around and then cross that major arterial again to walk to Safeway. I know that there is kind of a back road that's kind of sloppy through the mud, where you technically can go that way. But that's something that I'd like us to consider. I'm not sure if it necessarily needs to have now you got me calling them numbers, letters, a letter for that, but just something that I wanted to put out there.
Is that a revision?
I don't know if we necessarily need to put that in as a specific request, but it's something that I just want to comment on that I think is something that's severely lacking and would have been nice if that had been there from the start, because it's a need.
thank you.
A very expensive need.
Noted, but no change. Okay. Are we ready to go to E? Or anything above E?
Well,
Mayor Pro Tem Holloway,
so one time told somebody about real estate, if it's not written, it doesn't exist. So I mean, can we go back on A and encourage new development and targeted system improvements to do the rest? And I think that will cover your issue of trying to, where we have disconnected parts, but no development going on in between, we should still try to connect.
Is that a revision,
Yeah, that would be a revision to,
please?
and on A, encourage new development and targeted system improvements to provide, all the rest stays the same. Just so where we've got those holes, we can maybe take TBD funds and do something to connect it, whatever.
Got it. All right, ready to move to 5? strive to improve air quality by reducing vehicular greenhouse gas emissions and supporting alternative options to single occupant vehicle travel. A. B. C. D.
Oh, a quick thing.
Counselor Johnson?
Yeah, on C, I wonder if there's anything that needs to be said there about where those would be envisioned to be located. I suppose it could be anywhere, but is it is there any literature or any studies about benefits to having it electric vehicle recharge stations on private property, meaning like the Safeway parking lot, which is a huge parking lot, versus in a more publicly available space like along center. Is there any sort of a preference for that? I guess it's sort of a question that I have. Or is there any literature on that?
City Administrator Chambliss?
I've done these in the past a few times, and we always target high turnover where there's a lot of people. We never really considered private property because it was always a public project, so we were looking for public property to do it on, but normally you want to put it somewhere where there's going to be some turnover and that there's a lot of people, so it gets used and not vandalized.
Did you want to follow up with your
Yeah,
comment?
if I just,
And then
so then I'm wondering if we could add something there about partnering with some of our larger private properties. We don't need to necessarily name them in this document, but if they have space available and make that a way less wordy than what I just said, but partnering with them if their space makes sense is a good spot for it. So like we could get the federal grant that funds it and just say, hey, would you mind providing, these 5 spaces or whatever for that?
Ethan, Counselor Benson, and then Counselor Watton.
Yeah, not only that, I imagine that businesses would, like Safeway, for example, big parking lot. And if they could have people coming and spending extra time there because they're charging their vehicle, they'd probably be all for that. And it'd be a good use of space.
Except they're not buying gas.
Counselor Watton?
So, thank you. So in my spare time yesterday, I was perusing the North Bend zoning code and in it and why it kind of resonates. They have it in the commercial zone is the charging station, and they've got basically a chart of where charging stations are allowed. So if you keep it to commercial zones, then that probably would suffice, or look at model ordinances other cities have utilized.
Counselor Cotton?
Just a question, is this a city charging station on Falls Avenue over in front of Valley Record? Because it's up on the sidewalk.
There are, yeah, Jeff saying yes. I know Dylan has a few around town.
Okay.
Counselor Johnson?
So the other really good spot that is on our land is at least I think we own it, is the parking lot that is kind of in front of one of the little daycares that's down here on Railroad. That's a giant parking lot. We own that,
Oh,
right?
the public parking.
Yeah, that's
Yeah,
public.
Railroad Place.
Well, right over here too, right?
We own half of it. Okay. So anyway, I guess if I wanted to say something in here, it would be something to the effect of wait, I'm on the wrong line. Where'd it go? Okay, yeah, C. consider additional opportunities, including leveraging grants for the installation of electric vehicle recharge and alternate fueling stations, perhaps in partnership with private lands or private parking. Just to kind of make sure that we're clear that that it's fine if it's anywhere, not necessarily have to be on.
Currently doesn't have to be on public land. The way this is worded, it doesn't preclude public or private.
Counselor Johnson, following up.
And responding to that very point, responding to one of the comments that the city administrator Chambliss made, is someone could default to thinking, oh, well, we're only looking at this, and it could limit our view of what we could do.
Yeah, I just like to remind you that the policies, the goals are broad and the policies are broad to prevent someone from arbitrarily limiting their interpretation of it. Okay. So did I hear you say to add in partnership
Yeah.
with private companies?
Or because we don't want to limit it too much to just that, but perhaps just including public and private partnerships. How about that?
Or not to be overlooked, right?
Okay, D. E. F. G.
Mayor Pro Tem Holloway.
I was good this time. So my question, what's our current metric of air quality?
Which letter?
This letter we were just on,
G.
G.
yeah, seek to improve air quality, reduce greenhouse gas emissions, employ and encourage strategies. So what's our current measure?
We do not have that data right now. We are going to be working on a climate change element that will be forthcoming in the next year, and we'll have more information on that. Overall, though, we know that we have a statewide goal of reducing greenhouse gas and vehicle miles traveled, and we'll be getting to specifics on what that means for Snoqualmie when we do the climate change element.
Okay, that's okay. That's an undefined at the moment. All right. No change.
H. I.
Mayor Pro Tem Holloway.
So I guess two concerns on this one. One, although often overlapping, natural and cultural resources are somewhat distinct things. While some may consider I'll call it the Christmas tree lot a cultural thing, I'm not sure it's an environmental place, except for maybe the buffer on the side. So,
Which letter?
Aye.
that was the letter we were on, correct? Was that the letter we were on?
Mhm.
Okay. And the other thing in here, again, my favorite one of a bike lift going up Snoqualmie Parkway. I don't think it makes reasonable sense to do that. But in the writing of this, it might be something we approve. So I think there needs to be a conditional in here that says as feasible or something along those lines. So that we're at least making these decisions that, give us the best bang for the buck and don't overextend us in certain areas versus others.
So as
So-
feasible, incorporate environmental factors?
Yep.
Okay.
And
got it.
consider, again, somehow differentiating between cultural and environmental things, or natural, sorry, my glasses are off, so now I can't read. Natural and cultural things, we should seek to preserve those, but those may be separate actions. They may be the same, but they may be separate, and to lump them together could cause you some issues in consideration.
How would you rephrase it?
I'm not gonna propose at this stage. I'll leave that up to you. If I say consider, you may say you don't want to, that's up to you.
You would like as feasible,
I would like as feasible.
and you would like us to consider, how would you like us to?
Maybe to
consider-
break that up as two separate, the words are the same, but at least then you're giving due consideration to both and not trying to lump them in as one consideration.
So separate natural and
And
separate
cultural.
cultural into two policies. Got it?
Everyone else agree with that? Yes, Counselor Johnson?
Yeah, I think so. I also think that perhaps we should say that minimizes negative impacts, because I think we want to actually encourage impacts. We want to encourage positive ones.
Positive.
So we just add the word negative. Or
Counselor Benson?
I just, am I the only one who's driven insane by the fact that we don't have any Oxford commas in here? It's kind of driving me nuts and,
Or would you like them?
I'd like lists to be completed with commas, and can't do it on its own. Because, for example, in K, for multimodal levels of service supply, consider frequency, presence and span of services to evaluate. So, well, presence and span are supposed to be separate things. We need a comma in there, but it's all through here. All right, there's no comma before and in the list, and it's driving me insane.
Counselor Cotton?
That's actually changed now.
I know, and it's wrong. Lots of things have changed.
Let's stay on task tonight. Counselor Johnson?
wanted to mention that if the list is exhaustive, then you don't put a comma before the and. If the list is not exhaustive, and these are just a list of examples, then you put the comma before the and.
Okay. And she's an English major. She knows. Thank you.
I did get an English degree, but I don't want to go to bat with anybody at the table. If
Only
you'd
comma.
like to provide me Oxford commas or any punctuation, please send it directly to me before our next meeting, and I will
Okay.
include the commas that you want. Or
I will read this whole thing again.
I would appreciate that. We need some evil eyes. Yeah, I would comment that I did do the double spaces before the next period, and I'm not supposed to anymore, so,
Those I can let go.
okay.
Yeah.
Those bug me.
So are we on K now?
Yes.
No, I think I skipped one.
I think we're.
J.
I think we're on J, yeah.
J. Okay.
Counselor Johnson?
Does that say apply, consider frequency?
What
For
letter?
for K, what's
Yes.
what's the verb? We're
I
English
think
here.
there's a comma.
Consistent. Is that supposed to be consistent?
I think it's,
Consistent frequency?
Okay, apply consistent frequency. Is that what that's supposed to say?
I think that is a typo.
Okay.
Good catch.
I'd just like to check with Jeff. Is it should it say for multimodal service
apply.
levels of service, consider frequency? It should be
Present.
said, consider
Yeah.
this frequency and no apply. Apply was the
Yeah.
strikeout. I'll
Okay.
remember that. Thank you. Yeah,
Service consider.
appreciate your
If you take the apply out of place.
comprehension. L. Okay, we're on number 6. Provide for maintaining and preserving the life and utility of the city's transportation system and investments. A,
Mayor Pro Tem Holloway.
Define equitable. I'm really stuck that we need to make sure that we're really level of service and data driven on where we do the system improvements, and that it is agnostic to anything else. I don't, and with that backdrop, I'm not understanding what equitable, are we not equitable now based on that? So I'd rather have that what will we do? And we will be level of service, data driven on our actions. That I don't care where it is, but the heaviest used street in the worst conditions, the one we ought to focus on.
Counselor Benson.
Yeah, I think to the same point, the idea of writing it in broad terms that can't be nailed down to specifics and eliminate other possible options can also be read as creating so many options that we're going to be responsible with addressing absolutely any and every complaint because of the way it's broadly written, if that makes sense.
mhm. I believe this word is coming from PSRC, under their 2050 guidance. I'd have to do some more double checking though. So we are getting infused with new words that weren't part of our plan before because of the regulatory environment that we work in, but. that's
I have
just-
no problem with new words, as long as they come with a definition that I can work with.
And I'm sure there's a definition. We can provide that. Counselor Johnson.
I had a feeling that was going to be the answer. It's coming from PSRC. One could potentially argue that there was a time when the city could have been viewed by some as not having been consistent and equitable in terms of improvements throughout the city. There are some streets that for decades were, well, I'm not sure what word I want to use, but they were in really,
Neglected.
really rough shape.
They were neglected.
And
All right,
there
use
still
that on me,
are.
But yes, they were. And there's some that still are, sure.
Right.
So we're getting around to them and maybe the city could have gotten to those faster. Maybe the city couldn't have. I'm not going to sit here in judgment of it, but regardless, I think that someone could have looked at that and made that interpretation. So we want to make sure that, that we're being equitable across the city, that we aren't leaving some areas as being neglected.
If Jeff can find that definition handy when we're still under discussion, he'll let me know.
Counselor Benson.
Well, my only concern with that excellent example is that sometimes those things happen and it doesn't have to do with equity. It has to do with economy or just reality and limitation of resources and that sort of thing that don't really, that I would hate for things that aren't actually meant to marginalize people or be inequitable to be now defined as inequitable because somebody feels like they've been slighted, right? That's my concern about the broad use of a term like that, because you can have a street that isn't as caught up as the other streets, and it's because they did another street first, not because they were being inequitable. And I would hate for the city to be on the hook with an equity question because of the way we wrote it.
Would the council like to consider the, if feasible, the conditional language we're using?
Counselor Johnson.
I think that could help for sure. Yeah, I think that some people could have looked at the condition of the streets in downtown versus the Ridge. Until recently, when we started having all these projects, that started addressing that issue. But someone could have looked at the city and said, hey, there are these two areas. This looks inequitable. It wasn't just, this street downtown didn't get hit, but this street in the Ridge did. This street in the Ridge got neglected. This street downtown didn't, which is what you're referring to, it sounds like. So it's more the way that I'm thinking about it is that we want to make sure that both downtown and the Ridge and any other kinds of categories that people want to slice and dice the city into, that no one would perceive it in any reasonable way as this area is being neglected. Sure, hit those streets that need it, but that should count everywhere.
Right.
That's how I'm thinking about it.
Well,
Mayor Pro Tem Holloway.
so I will counter in part to tell you, people did consider that for a good number of years now. Okay, to the extent that we've had discussions of separate utility rates downtown versus the Ridge, and that was vehemently no. Okay, so it has always been a consideration. Part of it, may be discussions along the lines of I have some infrastructure that's failing and I have some infrastructure that's failed. I can mitigate the failing, but it doesn't leave me funds to do the failed until at a later time when I do have those funds. But if I let the failing fail, it's going to be very expensive to repair it. So it's a slow process to bring everything up. It can't happen all at once. And that may be viewed as inequity, but it's a way of properly managing the funds that the citizens give us to spend on these things, that we're getting the best bang for the buck and focusing in the right areas for the best service at the best price, which is our responsibility to do. So I just, there's equity and then there's financial and other things that we go on. And peace. I was one of those who vehemently opposed separate utility rates and everything else. We are one city.
Councilor Johnson.
I agree emphatically with everything you just said. I just think that having this language essentially, well, not quite codifies it because this isn't the city code, but it puts it in writing that we are going to make sure that we are trying to do things as equitably as we possibly can. So I think this supports exactly what you're saying.
All right.
That's my opinion.
No change,
Did you want if feasible?
information,
I'd be fine with the if feasible.
if feasible? All
I
right,
think
Wait.
can I?
Councilor Vincent?
Yeah. And I think the way Mayor Pro Tem Holloway addressed it was perfect, because what you were pointing out was, if we need to fix streets in downtown or up in the Ridge, everybody in Snoqualmie is paying for it. It's all being paid for by everyone. And so doing that in the most economically feasible way is the most equitable way for everyone. So, I just get scared of language like this that's going to, I worry that the idea of equitability becomes subjective rather than objective. It is objectively true that there's a cheapest way to do everything in the city and do it right. That doesn't always feel exactly the way everybody wants. And it does, when we redid Riverview Park, that might not have felt equitable to the people living next to Swenson, and so it would be great if there was something in here that points out that, hey, we're trying to do everything as fairly as we possibly can and respect people's funds.
so we agreed if feasible would be a nice conditional opener for that. Okay, great. B. C. D. E. F. G. H.
It's a good use of an Oxford comma right there.
Thank you for that compliment. All right, that
Excellent.
is it for transportation. Let's move over. If you just give me a second, I'll bring up the next one so we can begin on capital facilities and utilities, which is much smaller. Where,
So
Russ?
then this will be on the next council meeting for approval, the transportation element. So you'll see that again redlined for approval. So now we're moving on to, like you said, the capital facilities. Councilor Johnson.
By approval, you mean as in, we're saying this is probably gonna be fine, not a final adoption. Final adoption is in like October or whatever, correct?
Well, the overall comprehensive plan's final adoption.
Yeah, it'll be a motion for adoption, just like we've seen for land use and housing. It comes with some conditional statements, ensuring that this is part of a larger comprehensive process for integration with multiple different elements. And that final adoption of the comprehensive plan won't come until we've reviewed all of the elements.
Right.
Okay. Provide quality infrastructure to serve current and future residents and businesses. (911) 912. 913. 914.
Sure.
Councilor Bitson.
913, what is the phrase, development of regional centers? What does that mean? Regional centers?
Jeff? Do you have a definition for that?
Yeah. For a place in the middle of a region?
With a comma
But,
somewhere. in
that's
there.
a definition coming from PSRC. I can provide that to you.
All right, thank
I'll
you.
send it to you.
I'm just wondering what adequate infrastructure we're expected to provide for these middles of regions.
How about a
Mayor Pro
bus,
Tem Holloway.
how about a bus terminal with a parking lot so you can do HOV and transit connection and take your bikes down there and, you know, bike to the place, get on your bus, go to work. That would be a regional transit center.
Sounds like a pet project.
Park and ride. No, we've often said we'd like to have park and ride out here, but seldom get full consideration.
So a regional center is an area in the middle of a region.
It's where, well, really it's where your different modals of transportation come together. And you can then pick the most efficient modal coming out and going in.
Okay, so
You may have a better definition,
this
but that was
is
off the top.
specifically referring,
Ability hub.
this is,
Hang on.
We definitely wanted.
Let's listen. Yeah,
That's for
interim
transportation.
Parks and Public Works Director, Hamlin.
Higher. Yeah, so regional centers, I think, you know, without looking at the definition in the PSRC 2050, I think what they're trying to say is that for areas that we identify as a city, as an entity, where we consider to be our regional centers, the center of any activity that gives us the, I guess, impetus to plan to support whatever activity that regional center is providing.
okay,
So if you were to apply that standard to our city, you know, we might consider this downtown or this town center portion to be a regional center. And whatever activities which we wish to grow or to support, then we would apply services to in aid of that support.
So like Center Street might be one, or the business park, or
So
Well, I
our,
think that actually Councilmember Holloway hit on a really important one for us, which would be the idea of a mobility hub. I think you could conclude, we could consider that to be a regional center.
so City Administrator Chambliss would like to speak to this as well.
So when they did the Vision 2050 at PRSC, they have designated regional centers for development. Our closest regional center to us is Issaquah. We are not a regional center in Vision 2050.
okay.
Councillor Johnson.
So are we required to provide adequate infrastructure in applicable areas to support the development of Issaquah?
No. But what you're doing is adopting their standard set of rules that they want adopted in case they decide we're going to be a regional center in the future. Because they didn't want to have two different sets of rules.
Okay, 915. Nine one six. Nine one seven.
So,
Mayor Pro Tem Holloway.
no change. I'm just concerned that could be interpreted that all utility lines are underground. And that may not be suitable for all locations, but
We have the maximum extent.
okay.
918. Nine one nine.
There are a lot of fancy words in here.
Councillor Benson.
We're just going so fast.
Nine one ten.
So can you give me
Mayor Pro
a,
Tem Holloway.
can you give me a hypothetical Snoqualmie specific or example of that?
Are you on 11 or 10?
10.
This is coming from PSRC. I see Mike has a
Our
response.
City Administrator Chambliss.
Wouldn't that be the trail underneath the high tension power lines? That we've had to block off because scooters are scooting on them.
Site or expand capital facilities in a manner that consider impact or historically marginalized communities.
Oh, sorry, I was on 9.
Chipmunks are marginalized.
I was on 9. I apologize.
Okay. All right,
Councillor
I'll
Johnson.
withdraw comment.
Well, I was just gonna mention, there of course is a tribe near us and, if we're gonna build a building, we should probably just make sure that it's not an important site for them. Just be an example.
Nine one 11.
Are we allowed to do that? I mean, are we even allowed to put our capital improvement stuff into area that is not within our jurisdiction? And by definition, wouldn't that be outside the urban growth area?
Technically, it'd be our springs.
Might be the only appropriate spot for that.
All right,
I think we have some, so
Yeah, wouldn't that be the Springs?
in the chlorinator facility.
Okay, thank you. Yes,
That's outside the UGA.
It's in North Bend.
Okay.
9112. Nine one 13. Nine one 14. Okay, let's go to 2.
So if we go for 5 more minutes, then we'll need to recess and then re-adjourn at 7. There's a lot of people who want to come in and celebrate in a little bit, so.
Invest in the timely replacement of aging infrastructure to ensure continuity and delivery of vital public services.
That's a trick, right?
921. 922. 923.
9. Counselor Johnson?
On the, yeah, number 922. Just a quick thought. I do hope that that there are communications at some point periodically to inform people that if the big one hits us, a 9.0 earthquake or something like that, that we're not probably
never
going to
gonna
get help for a while. That we can do our best, but there's not much we can do to plan for that or to make our roads passable when they get, 3 meters of offset.
Counselor Cotton?
I think the planning is going into without saying specifics with, planning by training the citizens like the CERT classes and such for preparing for, you're gonna have to deal with your neighborhood and because of the road conditions you discussed, the fire department can't get to you or the, those types of things. So I think the city does promote preparedness for sure,
Right,
especially with all the flooding and that issue too.
absolutely. Counselor Benson?
It's interesting. I was reading the resilience of utilities is the kinds of things that they're doing at the water treatment plant right now, where they're expanding capacity to handle greater amounts of wastewater, that sort of thing. But I guess it does say preparing for disasters and planning for system recovery. But yeah, I think that's was it earlier in here that it said to the extent, or was that in the last section that it said to the extent feasible, or there's certain things that just aren't going to be feasible for us to handle immediately. 9.0 earthquakes and zombie apocalypses and that kind of thing.
You want to add additional words to it then?
Not zombie apocalypse, but
Extent feasible?
but to the extent possible might be, or extent feasible, that might be another good spot for that.
Mayor Pro Tem Holloway?
so we do have a natural hazard mitigation plan. It just, as a side note, maybe time to dust that off and take a look at in pursuit of this kind of activity. Which outlines a lot of what we see as natural hazards, where we think those may hit, particularly within the community, given earthquake faults that you would not know that are there, other things, and the boundary between us and the trees and everything else. It might be good for us to get some insight into that as a council.
It's under review right now at the county.
Okay.
We have an annex on that.
Council, I think we need to recess here. It's 6:50 PM. So is there a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
So moved by Councilor Watton, second by Mayor Pro Tem Holloway. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, nay? We are adjourned. We'll re-adjourn at 7 PM. It's now 7 PM. We completed a roundtable and we're bringing our regular council meeting to order. So council members, Christensen is requested to be excused for tonight's council meeting. Can we please have a motion?
So moved.
Second,
Moved by Mayor Pro Tem Holloway, second by Councilor Watton. Any discussion? All those in favor say aye.
aye.
Any opposed, nay? Councilmember Christensen is excused, and we previously excused Councilor Washington as well. So council, please stand and join me in saying the Pledge of Allegiance. Councilmember Johnson, would you please lead the pledge?
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right, thank you. So we now move to our first item of regular business is to approve the agenda. Council may I have a motion to approve the agenda.
So moved.
Moved by Councilor Johnson, second by Mayor Pro Tem Holloway. Is there any discussion? Mayor Pro Tem Holloway?
Would like to add a discussion on council retreat agenda to committee of the whole. May I have a
Right.
second?
Second.
Moved by Mayor Pro Tem Holloway, second by Councilor Johnson to add the council retreat discussion to committee of the whole. Is there any other changes?
So,
Thanks, okay. We need to approve that motion. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, nay? Okay, improving the full agenda with the change. All those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any approve, any nay? Any opposed, nay? Okay, it is unanimous and the agenda is approved. First item is the oath of office and badge pinning for our new police captain, Gary Horace. And I will turn it over to our Chief Lynch to do introductions. And as mayor, I will administer the oath of office.
Good evening, council, mayor, everybody that showed up tonight. Thank you very much. To say that I'm excited about doing this is an understatement. I have needed a captain for many, many months. And to finally have one, it was like Christmas last Monday when he came in. And even though he doesn't know what he's doing or can't do anything by himself yet, I'm just so excited that he is here. So it's my pleasure to talk a little bit about my captain, Gary Horace. So Gary started his police career in Texas in 2006, just outside of San Antonio, the Shirts Police Department. He moved here in 2010, and in 2011, he became a police officer with the Enumclaw Police Department. And that's where I started my relationship with him, having worked at a neighboring agency. Him and I would partner up and I would back him on calls. He would back me on calls. And then we both became detectives for the Major Crimes Task Force. And when I became the commander of the task force, he was my number two. And for several years, he was my go-to guy with the task force. So when we had this position come available, it was one person that I had in mind. It was somebody that I could trust, somebody that had the heart for service and that dedicated themselves to professionalism and for serving the community and the citizens that we serve. So he checked every box. And along the way, as he was going through the process, I got more excited each step that maybe this would happen. And when I finally was able to offer him the job, it was kind of like, me getting my partner back. And it's guys like this that this city deserves. The citizens deserve the best. The police department deserves somebody that is a leader, and that is Gary to a T. So I'm very excited to have him here, and to have him finally get sworn in and with his badge pinned and to be my captain. So, Mayor, I will let you take it from here.
Thank you. So I,
I,
say your name,
Gary Horace,
have been duly appointed to the office of Police Captain for the City of Snoqualmie, Washington,
been duly appointed Police Captain for the City of Snoqualmie, Washington.
do solemnly swear that I will faithfully and impartially perform the duties of my office as prescribed by law to the best of my ability.
Do solemnly swear that I will faithfully and impartially perform the duties of my office as prescribed by law to the best of my ability,
And that I will support and maintain the ordinances of the City of Snoqualmie
and that I will support and maintain the ordinances of the City of Snoqualmie
and the laws and Constitution of the State of Washington and of the United States of America.
and the laws and the Constitution of the State of Washington and the United States of America.
Excellent. Congratulations. And our city clerk, Dean, actually previously swore him in with the day that he started. So just so you know. Captain, do you want to say a few words? Couple words?
Well, I want to first thank Chief Lynch, Mayor Ross, and the rest of the city council and administration for this opportunity. It's been a long road. For those who know me, I put my heart into things. So this is going to be not only a good challenge, but I look forward to working with everybody in the back of that room and the men and women on the streets in our community. So I appreciate it. Thank you. I couldn't have done this without my wife. We're those who don't know, we're a law enforcement family. She works for the Kent Corrections Facility. So we know what it's like to be in this community or be in a community, have a lot of strain and stress on an officer in our law enforcement family. So it hits us really hard, and you know, we maintain that. So I appreciate everything that she's done to help me along the way. So thank you, sir. I'll do my best for you.
No, you will.
Okay, so our next. Okay, so now we have, our next is a promotion of Police Sergeant Chase Smith. And it's very exciting to be able to fill positions from within, to have high quality staff that are promoted. So we appreciate your stepping up to be sergeant. So take it away, Chief.
Very much. One of the easiest decisions that I've ever made is to promote Chase Smith from police officer to sergeant. Since my arrival here at the police department in Snoqualmie, he has stood out as a leader, someone that I look up to. I always knew that this day would come. I just didn't know when. And it is with great pleasure that I get to let him wear those stripes now and to lead our guys in police work. So he's been a police officer for 9 years, and the last 7 he's been here in Snoqualmie. So he started in Federal Way and decided that Snoqualmie was his home and he needed to come here. So we are so lucky to have had that chance to bring him here. Some of the things that he has done, he's not only a police officer and now a sergeant, but he's been an FTO. So he's trained our new people when they come on board. He's been an OIC, which is an officer in charge. So he takes over a squad when his sergeant was either on vacation or sick. He was entrusted with that responsibility for the last few years. He's an EVOC instructor, so he teaches people how to drive safely. He's our quartermaster. So if anything needs to be purchased for, any of our duty belts or uniforms, he's the guy to do it. He's also a recruiting coordinator, which is a new spot. As of last summer, I needed somebody to go be the face of the department when that we were going to public safety testing events. And that was another easy decision to put Chase Smith in that spot. He has done a great job going out to these events. I'm going to be leaning on him in the future to continue that. He's also the union president in his spare time. So, yeah, this is an easy fit. This decision, it was made a long time ago that he would be the guy. And I'm just very proud of him, and I can sleep at night knowing that he is working the road, which he is right now. That's why he's not all dressed up like us. So as soon as he's done, he'll have to go back out on the street for the rest of the night. So, yeah, Chase, congratulations. We did order him a badge with his badge number on it, and it just has not arrived yet. So he still has an officer badge right now, but he is wearing the stripes. He's been doing this for a little over a week now, and so far so good. So once that badge comes in, we'll give it to you. All right.
Would you like to say a few words, Sergeant?
I'll make this brief. I'm not much longer speeches other than take home car things, obviously, right? So just a few people I'd like to thank. Sergeant Dan Moat is here tonight. He was my first sergeant when I came to Snoqualmie Police Department. So just thank you for everything. You've taught me all the good values and lessons along the way. Sergeant Nodge Draveling, I went to you 3 years ago with this goal of being the next sergeant promoted and asked for your help. I'm just so thankful to the time you invested in me and believed in me, and we did it. Chief Lynch, thank you for this opportunity. I worked my butt off to be here, and I guarantee I won't let you down. Captain Racy, short time I got to know you. I'm super excited to be working with you and how invested you've already been in my career development in this role. My wife and my 13-month-old that's being a little fussy tonight. Thank you guys. In order to put myself eligible for this role, I really had to make some sacrifices, which meant, taking on more duties here and less time away from home. So thank you for your support, and thank you all. That's it.
Okay. Okay, next item is AB 24-041 reappointment to the Civil Service Commission. And we're reappointing Graham Ross. He's been a valuable member of the Service Commission since 2022 and has agreed to reappointment. And we are not related, just to point that out. So council may have a motion to confirm Mr. Ross to civil service.
So moved.
Second.
Moved by Councilor Watton and second by Mayor Pro Tem Holloway. Any discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, nay? All right, it is unanimous and Graham Ross is reappointed to Civil Service Commission. So this evening we have a brief presentation. We've invited Mary Lou Pauley, who's the mayor of Issaquah, to join us this evening. She's also the president of Sound Cities Association Board of Directors, which I am also a board member. And she's going to provide an overview of Sound Cities Association. So take it away.
Thank you, Mayor Ross. Can you all hear me?
Yes.
Right. Well, thank you. I'm glad to get this opportunity to get on your agenda. And I also just want to say, I'm grateful for your public service. I feel your pain. I serve as well. And it is a hard job. I moved to Issaquah about 30 years ago and I volunteered on a board or commission for about 20 years before I decided to run for council. And I served one term as council member. And then we had some big decisions in town about stay the course, change. And so it was quite an interesting election, which one of your council members actually got to experience. And I was really excited to get to sit in the mayor's chair. When I first got on council, and I understand some of you are new, there is so much to learn. I think even just being on a board and commission, I didn't realize that half of the rule books are written by others. So we get to approve budgets and create ordinances and laws ourselves, but almost 50% of what we do, someone else is making up the rules. And Sound Cities Association formed decades ago in order to make sure that all cities, no matter what size, no matter what population, had the ability to sit at any of those tables. And so they negotiated to get us seats. And we now serve on multiple regional, county, even state level work, trying to make sure the voices of all cities get heard. I had a council member who was on the PIC, the Public Issues Committee at the time, and I think I was a council member for a week when he asked me to go and weigh in on, can't remember if it was sewage treatment, flooding, I don't know. I had no idea what it was, but the Public Issues Committee gives each of the 38 cities and Sound Cities an equal voice to bring your council's thoughts and opinions and concerns to this body to discuss it. It took maybe a year or two until our council kind of grouped up and said, there's a couple places that we should be sitting that we're not. And they took a very collaborative approach to working as a body and deciding, you know, growth management, it's a big deal. It's a huge deal at Issaquah because we're at the end of the urban growth boundary and we're going to have some future light rail that will end up being a service hub to all of the cities, northeast, east, and southeast of us. So big decisions, and Sound Transit's an important table and others. And we actually, with council president, sat down, we wrote as a group where we thought we needed to have a bigger footprint. Listening to some of the questions tonight, what is a regional growth center? There's like a half an hour conversation about who wants to have a regional growth center, how to apply to be a regional growth center, what the rules are, the activity units that they use to decide if you have the capacity to be one. You get to help set those rules when you sit at these other tables. And so getting on, if growth is an issue, if traffic is an issue, if Highway 18 is an issue, there are tables that you want to have some of your council members sitting on. So glad to have Rob and I work on, Councilmember Watton and I work on Highway 18. While Highway 18 is not contiguous in any way with the city of Issaquah, it is one of our biggest issues in terms of traffic congestion in Issaquah. So I sit on the CLTC team, which is a transportation coalition out here. Those are the same kinds of conversations that we're having about other issues that we all face. So my pitch tonight to you is to try and encourage you to join, to reach out and chat with me. I can send my cell number through your mayor's email about where you think Snoqualmie's voice needs to be heard. And I can help you find a place, a table. Most of our meetings are hybrid, some are in person, but there's always the ability to serve no matter where you are in King County. So Sound Cities Association is the 38 cities in King County that are not Seattle, and a cumulative population of about 1.2 million people, more than Seattle. And so this is a really great place for you to get your voice heard. Is there anything I can do to help? Let me know. Thank you, Mayor.
Thank you.
Thank you, Council.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mayor Polly. So SEA is really important to Snoqualmie. It provides a voice, mutual support, advocacy, and networking opportunities as well for our city, and then seats at the table. So it's important. And I'm hoping that some of you will step up for regional committees. We have also a couple members already that are on some of the committees. So thank you. The next item is the state of the city. We have a video this year. It shows an overview of the work that our council members, our board commissioners, our city staff and I are doing on behalf of Snoqualmie. And this year, you're going to hear from each of the departments. So you won't only see me up there, you will actually see some of our department heads and project engineers, city clerk, and others they're doing great work for our city. And they'll talk about their accomplishments, what the goals are for this year, and how our work will actually benefit our residents and businesses. And we are sharing this tonight at council, and then the next time it will be shared at the Snow Valley Chamber Luncheon in April. And then at that point, we will post it on our YouTube channel. If there's any issues tonight with those that are online viewing it, it will actually be posted as part of our council meeting. And so that'll be updated. So anyway, please take it away. Hello, I'm Catherine Ross, the Mayor of Snoqualmie, and it is my honor to share with you the 2024 State of the City. I'm grateful for this opportunity to provide an overview of the work our council members, board commissioners, city staff, and I are doing on behalf of Snoqualmie residents and businesses to maintain Snoqualmie's high quality of life and keep our beautiful city one of the best places to live. This year, we continue our coordinated efforts to carefully balance our city's high livability with economic efficiency. Our recent community survey demonstrated why so many of you enjoy the overall quality of life in Snoqualmie, the natural environment, parks and recreation, public safety, and strong sense of community. And our goal is to maintain this level of livability. To do this, the city will continue to provide a high level of service while implementing financial and workflow efficiencies to better serve our residents and be effective stewards of your tax dollars. You will hear from each of our departments on their 2023 accomplishments, this year's goals, and how our work will benefit our residents and businesses. But first, I'd like to start by introducing you to our city council. Ethan Benson, Rob Watton, Brian Holloway, Lewis Washington, our newest council member, Catherine Cotton, Carrie Christensen, and Joe Johnson. This is a dedicated group of elected officials who strive for the best outcomes for our residents and businesses. And now we'll turn it over to City Administrator Mike Chambliss.
Thank you, Mayor Ross. I'm Mike Chambliss, and it's my pleasure to serve as Snoqualmie City Administrator. This past year was very busy, and things didn't slow down when we moved into 2024. Last year, we hired many new faces here at the city, including multiple director level positions. We have a new city administrator, me, as well as new police and fire chiefs, and a new finance director. We reorganized departments to increase efficiency and improve customer service. We have a great team in place, and all are committed to serving the city and its residents. Last year, after months of negotiations, we finalized a collaborative 3-year contract with our Teamsters Union. We also updated salaries and benefits for non-union staff. The new contract, salaries, and benefits are helping us to attract and retain quality staff members to provide the city services we know our residents expect. This year, we have a few more positions to fill, a union contract to finalize with our police officers, and more ERP systems to launch that will streamline additional city processes and carry us into the future with the tools to serve residents as efficiently as possible. In addition to our internal improvements, we continue ongoing capital improvement projects that protect our infrastructure keep residents safe, improve our parks, and protect our environment, which you'll hear more about later. And now I'll turn it over to Finance Director Drew Boutte.
Thanks, Mike. I'm Drew Boutte, and I'm pleased to serve as your Finance Director. With the support of the administration and City Council, the Finance Department continues to implement efficiencies and examine revenue-generating options to protect the city's financial health. In a momentous step, last year we completed a massive portion of the first phase of the multi-year ERP system implementation project, which will streamline our financial system and provide more efficient customer service options. We also repositioned the city's investment portfolio to take advantage of higher interest rates, generating more city revenue. We also debuted new and more sophisticated quarterly financial reports and forecasts, and switched business licensing services to the Department of Revenue, which allows businesses to submit for both city and state licenses in one place. To account for pandemic-driven inflationary increases, as well as reduced tax revenue resulting from the Sailors Lodge and other properties moving into tribal trust, we have proposed new revenue options to the City Council to balance our reoccurring expenses with our reoccurring revenue. Earlier this year, the City Council approved a Transportation Benefit District sales tax increase to ensure that visitors, not just property owners and residents, support city transportation expenditures. Council also approved an August ballot initiative for voter consideration of a 0.1% sales tax increase to support police and fire services. Like the transportation sales tax, this revenue option will also make sure that city visitors pay their fair share. This spring, the Finance Department will begin work on a new biennial budget that covers every city service, operations, and capital over a 2-year period. The goal is to produce a balanced budget that funds the level of service priorities of the city at the lowest cost to our residents and businesses as possible. In an effort to accomplish this, we will continue to focus on streamlined processes and internal controls to reduce expenses and increase revenues, which includes establishing a new fee and rate schedule, conducting a B&O tax and business license audit, completing a utility rate study, examining tax revenue options, and continued efforts to enhance tourism and economic development. The Finance Department is busy this year and focused, with the end goal being a sustainable financial future that supports city service level priorities that make Snoqualmie a deeply exceptional place to live and conduct business. And with that, I'll turn it over to City Clerk Dina Dean.
Thanks, Drew. I'm Dina Dean, and I'm honored to serve as the City Clerk of Snoqualmie. Last year, the City Clerk's Office was awarded a Washington Secretary of State Local Records Grant, which is allowing us to digitize, securely store, and manage the city's public records utilizing Laserfiche enterprise content management software. Public records requests are also now processed through this new software, which is a cost savings for taxpayers. This year, we will continue transferring long-term records into the Laserfiche repository, as well as use the software to create and implement automated business processes for contracts, agenda bills, special event permits, and more. Streamlining these processes reduces expenditures and increases efficiency and transparency, including reducing the number of weekly open public records requests. The City Clerk's Office is proud to streamline processes and bring new efficiencies and savings on behalf of Snoqualmie taxpayers. Now I'll hand it over to Community Development Director Emily Arteche.
Thanks, Dina. I'm Community Development Director Emily Arteche, and I'm excited to share some updates with you. Last year, we launched an important 2-year project to update our comprehensive plan, Snoqualmie 2044. This is one of the biggest undertakings and will guide our future development policies affecting land use, housing, economic development, and spending on parks, roads, public safety, and more. I'd like to thank our residents for providing feedback. Public input is key to helping us set the vision for the Snoqualmie of tomorrow. During this comprehensive plan update process, we completed a housing strategy plan and including a housing needs analysis, middle housing analysis, and more. Affordable housing remains a city priority, and our Affordable Housing Task Force continues its important work to leverage available funding and programs so more people who work here can afford to live here. To support this goal, last year the City Council adopted new accessory dwelling unit legislation, allowing 2 units per land parcel. This means homeowners have the ability to build additional small housing structures on their property that could serve as mother-in-law types units or for families or other tenants. Last year, we finalized a new Meadowbrook Farm maintenance agreement, working in collaboration with the city of North Bend to preserve and maintain this beautiful piece of land with ancestral tribe roots that is home to our famous elk herd and draws thousands of visitors to the Snoqualmie Valley each year. We have some development projects moving forward this year, including the first new downtown mixed-use project in many years called The Rails that will bring needed apartments and retail space. Additionally, the final new subdivision of Snoqualmie Ridge should break ground this year called Timber Trails that will bring needed middle housing units to our city, further diversifying housing options for those who want to call Snoqualmie home. There are many more exciting projects happening this year, and I'll turn it back to Mayor Ross so she can speak to how they promote economic vitality in our city.
Economic vitality is the cornerstone of highly livable communities, and long-term planning and strategic investments serve to maintain Snoqualmie's livability, uniqueness, and resilience. The Snoqualmie Mill Site project continues to move forward. We expect this project to break ground in the near future. It will transform the former Weyerhaeuser lumber mill site into a thriving mixed-use commercial retail area with multifamily housing, including 22% designated as affordable housing units. The development will focus on beer and wine production and include tasting rooms, retail space, and restaurants. We anticipate new jobs and more tourism-related revenue as a result of the mill site project. We continue working on another project that will bring an expansive model train museum to the downtown area, as well as River Trail project, which will build an extensive trail that will better connect historic downtown to Snoqualmie Falls and the future mill site development, providing one connected trail for residents and visitors to explore all areas of Snoqualmie and its local businesses. Another fun project is the Northwest Railway Museum Roundhouse that will add a new component to the museum facility located on Stone Quarry Road. There are very few working roundhouses in the United States at this time, so it is anticipated this project will increase the already significant tourism draw of this popular Snoqualmie Railway Museum. And although it may not be located in our city limits, another major project moving into the home stretch is a $400 million Snoqualmie casino expansion, which will include a new 210-room hotel and convention center. We are proud to support this Snoqualmie Tribe Economic Development Project with our water reclamation facility expansion that will serve the expanded casino and hotel. We continue to see new businesses take root in the city. This past year, we welcomed Kitty Academy, Mini Tree House, Snoqualmie Running, Snoqualmie Pie Company, Musashi's Restaurant, Beyond Laser Skincare, Snoqualmie Valley Health Primary Care Remodel, Glow Aesthetic, and more businesses as well. We are dedicated to enhancing and preserving Snoqualmie's economic vitality. We're working with organizations like the Snow Valley Chamber and our Snoqualmie Valley Economic Alliance to support tourism efforts that include carefully planned projects that serve not only the needs of our visitors, but most importantly, our Snoqualmie residents. And now I will turn it over to our Parks and Public Works team for some great updates.
Hi, I'm Jeff Hamlin, City Engineer and Interim Director of the Parks and Public Works Department. Our department is responsible for critical city infrastructure, including safe drinking water, roads to get you where you need to go, an extensive network of trails in case you want to leave the car at home, parks to help you stay healthy, and maybe even more critical, we ensure that capital improvements are properly planned, funded, and completed to maintain the infrastructure that provides the framework for our high living standards. We are in the process of launching an enterprise resource planning system that will increase the efficiency of the entire department. With this system, we can better manage and track maintenance and labor costs, streamline maintenance activities for key equipment to extend their service life, improve the management of parks and infrastructure, and better respond to maintenance concerns identified by the public. We are currently working on some important capital improvement projects, and I'm now going to turn it over to some of our great Parks and Public Works team.
Hi, I'm Dylan Gamble, the Capital Improvement Plan Manager for the City of Snoqualmie. Here at the city, we proactively manage our capital investments and are always seeking grant funding to reduce the impact to Snoqualmie taxpayers. A critical project we launched last spring was the Sandy Cove Riverbank Restoration Project. Last year, we completed the first phase, which you'll see behind me. The armoring built here has protected the riverbank from further erosion during the most recent flood season and has helped us protect and control the redirection of the river channel. As well as it protects the historic downtown and critical infrastructure specifically for stormwater utilities in the area. This spring, we will be launching phase 2 of the project, which will rebuild the rest of the riverbank and enhance Sandy Cove Park. The work should be completed as early as 2025. Some other good news. We have a brand new water line servicing the Williams Addition neighborhood area of downtown Snoqualmie. This project has significantly reduced water line breaks that had inconvenienced the neighborhood, as well as took many staff hours to do the repairs of the antiquated and older lines. Hi, I'm Andrew Vining, Public Works Project Engineer for the city. Currently, I'm overseeing our Water Reclamation Facility Phase 3 project. The facility operates 24 hours a day, every day of the year, cleaning wastewater to protect our nearby streams and rivers. Many of its components have been operating continuously for 25 years and are nearing the end of their expected service life. The improvements we are making will replace these critical components, enhance performance, and increase capacity. Project completion is expected in early 2025. At Public Works, we are always planning, and this project is no exception. Our behind-the-scenes jobs are to maintain and protect natural resources and vital infrastructure that you may not always think about, but rely on every day.
Hi, I'm Phil Bennett, Superintendent of the City's Stormwater and Forestry Division and a board-certified Master Arborist, a certification that I use daily here in Snoqualmie, where we have 10,000 street and park trees and one of the largest publicly owned urban forests in Western Washington with over 1,000 acres of forest land. We also have an extensive stormwater system that includes our urban forest, as well as a series of catch basins, pipes, and detention ponds that help reduce flooding and ensure that stormwater is cleaned by the time it reaches the Snoqualmie River. Each year, our street tree replacement program, using a tree health ranking system, funds replacements on various streets. The program also identifies tree species that will perform better in the tough urban environment and in present and future climate scenarios to optimize their lifespan. In addition to environmental benefits, Snoqualmie's abundance of street trees prolongs the life of roadway pavement, an example of nature saving taxpayer dollars. Last year, we added new street trees on Autumn Avenue, right here where I'm standing, and Maple Avenue. Next year, we plan to replace more trees along Azalea Way and in downtown Snoqualmie. Also, through our Green Snoqualmie Partnership, a volunteer-based forest stewardship program, we will be offering more volunteer events and programs to educate residents on ways to improve the health of Snoqualmie's urban forest. We hope you'll join us. You can sign up for Green Snoqualmie updates on the city website.
Hi, I'm Hind Ahmed, a public works project engineer. I oversaw the Snoqualmie Parkway rehabilitation project last summer, which resulted in few intersection curbs and ADA ramps and fresh pavement on the 3-mile-long and 4-lane Snoqualmie Parkway, which provides critical connection to I-90, SR-18 and SR-202, and neighborhood access to 4,000 Snoqualmie Ridge homes. The paving part of the project was a major undertaking, and it did come with a few challenges, but I'm pleased to report that it was completed on time and under budget. We also paved sections of Milburn Road, Tucker Road, Mountain Ave, and Stone Quarry Road last summer as part of our street paving program. Summer 2023 was a busy, and in 2024, we will continue our momentum focusing on citywide pavement repair, including crack sealing and patch repair, as well as major project to repair 2 Kimball Creek bridges.
As the mayor of Snoqualmie, I continue to advocate for improved transportation infrastructure in the Snoqualmie Valley. The major construction on the redesign of the I-90 State Route 18 interchange to a diverging diamond and widening State Route 18 from I-90 to Deep Creek should be completed later this year. Together with other local mayors, I am working to ensure the state provides funding to finish widening all of State Route 18 from Deep Creek over Tiger Mountain to the Issaquah Hobart Road. The completion of this work will be a big win for our drivers. With more efficient and safer conditions, what has been one of the most dangerous stretches of the state highways for the past 2 decades. I represent our city on the Regional Transit Committee, where I continue to advocate for bus service over State Route 18 to the Snoqualmie Valley for the benefit of our residents, local businesses, and their employees. I also wanted to share a bit of good news. This March, Snoqualmie Valley Transportation added one more route, increasing the frequency between valley cities and reducing time between buses, thanks to additional funding from King County Metro. Each new public transportation investment in our area is a win for our residents and for our businesses.
We are also investing in our park system, which boasts 540 acres of open space, 35 miles of public trails, and over 40 parks. Last year, we replaced the playground at Riverview Park with inclusively designed railroad-themed equipment. The park has received rave reviews since opening and is attracting families from Snoqualmie Valley and beyond. We also launched the design phase of the community center expansion project. The design was driven by community input who identified programming needs. It will include a competition pool, recreation pool, expanded locker rooms, larger community room, more flexible programming space, and a better connection to the Snoqualmie Ridge retail area. We're confident the design will serve the programming needs of our local and regional youth, teens, adults, and seniors for decades to come. We have approximately $19 million available for this project and are actively pursuing other funding options. We hope to have shovels in the ground next year. This year, we will open two long-awaited projects, a spray park at the Snoqualmie Community Park, which will open in time for the hot summer months, and the all-inclusive playground park at Centennial Fields, which is right here. It will serve kids of all ages and abilities with a fully fenced, secure space, play structures, and ramps that are wheelchair accessible, smooth padded surfaces, and a sensory garden. We will have a grand opening event in May and hope that you will join us. And another big undertaking for our Parks Department is the development of a Parks and Recreation, Open Spaces and Trails Master Plan, which will shape the future of Snoqualmie Parks and Recreation. If you haven't yet provided input, please head to the city website where there are multiple interactive ways to engage and have a say about what's important to you. And now I will turn it over to our Police Chief Lynch and Fire Chief Bailey to provide public safety updates.
Hello, I'm Police Chief Brian Lynch, and it's my honor to lead the exemplary team at the Snoqualmie Police Department. We are dedicated to the safety of our residents and are proud of Snoqualmie's consistent ranking in the top 10 of safest cities in Washington, something that we could not accomplish without our collaborative community policing program that is reflected in our motto, no call too small. This past year, we reached a milestone, achieving full officer staffing levels for the first time in several years, thanks to an enhanced and streamlined hiring process. And with the support of City Council, we adopted a new vehicle trespass ordinance, helping us charge more suspects to deter crime within the city. We also secured a new jail contract, allowing us to house long-term inmates in a Sunnyside, Washington facility, which will save taxpayers thousands of dollars. This year, we're taking our first steps at becoming an accredited agency. The process will allow us to identify areas that we can strengthen and highlight positive and innovative department programs. The Snoqualmie Police Department is also now a member of the Internet Crimes Against Children Task Force, which provides investigation assistance from national sources, including the Center for Missing and Exploited Children. In a step to support the mental health and well-being of our officers, we recently created a peer support program with 3 staff members completing a certification course to lead the program. And in support of our community, our mental health professional is continuing her vital work to connect vulnerable residents to needed services by riding along with officers to calls involving those in crisis. By adding the trained expertise of a mental health professional, we are improving both responses and outcomes in the Snoqualmie Valley. Each and every member of the Snoqualmie Police Department is committed to serving our residents and keeping Snoqualmie one of the safest places to live.
Hi, I'm Fire Chief Mike Bailey. It's an honor to lead the amazing team of firefighters and EMTs at the Snoqualmie Fire Department, who are all committed to the health and safety of our community. Last year was the second busiest year in our department's history, with 1,572 calls for service across the Snoqualmie Valley. We also trained 4 new probationary firefighters in 2023, which is a quarter of our career firefighting staff. The department completed almost 5,000 hours of training, which averages to 32 hours per month for each firefighter. This valuable training means our team is prepared and ready no matter what type of emergency arises. This year, we continue work on our 5-year reaccreditation process to maintain our status as one of the few accredited departments in the country. We're also updating the City Comprehensive Emergency Management Plan, which ensures we're prepared to respond and deal with major emergencies, and we have a brand new fire engine arriving later this year. In service of our community, under the leadership of volunteer EMT Robert Angersano, we launched the first opioid education and overdose class in our region. The free class is training many residents and teachers to understand the signs of opioid addiction and how to treat an overdose with Narcan. We also increased our participation in the Mobile Integrated Health Program to connect vulnerable residents with services and support. And for our youngest community members, firefighter Darby Summers spearheaded a new Codes for Kids program, which provides codes to elementary school students in Snoqualmie. And this program will continue each winter from now on. I encourage everyone to explore classes and trainings offered by the Snoqualmie Fire Department. Community collaboration is a key to creating a prepared and resilient community and making Snoqualmie a truly great place to live.
Hi, I'm Communications Coordinator and Public Information Officer Dana McCall. I not only work in Snoqualmie, but I also have lived here for over 20 years. In a nutshell, my job centers on you, our community, and finding ways for the city to engage and connect. Since beginning my position 2 years ago, we've been focused on increasing our social media reach and are making progress with over 3,000 new Facebook and Instagram followers. We also launched a Nextdoor agency page to push info into those feeds, and 1,000 of you have now signed up for our website emergency alerts. And if you haven't had a chance to explore it yet, we redesigned our website to make it easier for you to find what you're looking for with less clicks. Last summer, we completed our first comprehensive community survey since 2017. We were pleased so many of you participated and provided your input. The survey echoed what many residents already know. We enjoy an exceptional quality of life in Snoqualmie. The survey also told us the majority of you want that quality of life maintained, which is what your elected officials and city staff strive for on your behalf. We're committed to conducting community surveys every 2 years to help us assess and be more accountable for the services we provide. And finally, watch for more open houses, town halls, coffees with council and your chiefs. Community is what makes Snoqualmie stand out. And now I'll hand it back over to Mayor Ross to wrap up this year's State of the City.
Thank you, Dana. Community engagement is critical in a vibrant community like Snoqualmie. That's why we are committed to our strong events program run by our community liaison, Nicole Beebe. This year, we have a lot of fun events planned, like our popular Big Truck Day, egg hunts, movies and music in the park. There are also many city-sponsored events on tap, like the Red, White, and Boom July 4th fireworks show, Snoqualmie Days, and the Block Party on Snoqualmie Ridge. We've got something for everyone on the schedule this year, so you can enjoy the outdoors and connect with friends and neighbors. We are proud of the sense of community these events promote. And thank you for your time. We hope that this State of the City provided you with a snapshot of the effort our council, board, commissioner, city staff, and I are doing to maintain this incredible place we call home. We are excited for the future and are committed to preserving our unique and welcoming city, as well as our high quality of life and the services we provide to our residents and businesses each day. Thank you. I'd like to thank our staff. Nice job, everyone. And also Dana McCall and Gail Folkens for producing it and putting it together. So we will probably reduce my traffic noise in the background. But other than that, I think you did. Nice job, everyone. Great job. Right, with that, we're going to turn over to public comment. So at this time, we'll provide time for residents to comment on items not on the agenda. First, a few ground rules. Snoqualmie residents who are not present have a right to have their elected representatives perform their duties on behalf of the city in an efficient and orderly manner. Therefore, comments will be limited to 3 minutes each. Please wait to be recognized and state your name and city residence for the record. Direct your comments to the council as a whole and not to individual members. Please note that this is not a time to ask questions of the council, mayor, or staff, or to engage in debate. The council will quietly and respectfully listen to your concerns. Public comments during this portion of the meeting shall be limited to topics concerning current, future, or requested city projects actions, programs, plans, and regulations. Comments not pertaining to these subject matters are not germane and may result in your comments being suspended. At last, please respect the decorum of these proceedings as all due respect will be afforded to you. So with that, would anyone like to speak to any concern that is not on the agenda? And so you need to state your name and your city of residence. So, okay.
Good evening. My name is Kate Lean, and I'm a resident of North Bend. I'm here on behalf of Valley Pool Together, a group of Valley citizens who are advocating for better public aquatic access in Snoqualmie Valley. We recently ran a petition asking Valley residents to sign if they would like the City of Snoqualmie, Skyview Parks, and the school district to work together on a regional public pool. We also asked them to identify if they were from North Bend, Snoqualmie, Falls City, or unincorporated King County. We now have 636 signatures. City of Snoqualmie residents provided 328 of those signatures. Many of them chose to add a comment, and here are a few from your constituents. This is the only logical way to proceed with getting a much-needed aquatic center in the Snoqualmie Valley. Please work together to make one great facility we can all use. Way past time the authorities start working together. The longer this project is delayed, the more the price will go up. We need to step up. These groups can do that and bring a pool to our community. A partnership between multiple organizers better spreads the cost through the region and allows for us to build a multi-use facility that meets the entire community's needs and not just one small part of that community. We are one valley. Let's do this together and do it right the first time. Signing for a valley pool, no location specified. I believe the two cities of North Bend and Snoqualmie could find the best place for all residents, Snoqualmie or North Bend. We could have a really nice facility here if we could work together to make it happen. I've spoken with several of you over the last few months, and something I heard many times is that you want to hear from your residents before you make a decision about the community center expansion. I'm aware you plan to have a more in-depth discussion about how to proceed at your upcoming council retreat. I hope you can use this petition and the comments as an opportunity to hear from them and have a more fruitful discussion. If you decide it's time to move toward partnership on a regional pool, Valley Pool Together is here to help. We've spent the last few months making connections with elected officials, nonprofits, area stakeholders, and residents across the valley. We have resources and ideas to help you gather information and plan collaboratively. We're energized, optimistic, and ready to be citizen partners on this important and needed project. I'll leave this with the city clerk, and we'll also email a PDF to the council email address so you can spend time perusing all the feedback provided on these 63 pages. Thank you for your time.
Thank you. Anyone else in council chambers wish to speak? Okay,
Suspend public comment if the council wants to suspend public comment.
council, you can choose to suspend public comment for the rest of the evening.
Move to suspend public comment.
Second that. Okay, it's been moved by Councilor Johnson, second by Councilor Cotton to suspend our public comment. Any discussion? Councilor Johnson.
Provided that the city attorney tells me that that's an okay thing to do.
The city council is in charge of its rules for its meetings, and if the city council is ready to move on to other business and no longer wishes to hear public comment, it may do so.
Any discussion? Mayor Pro Tem Holloway.
I'm really disappointed that the vocal minority, very minority, has taken this opportunity to interfere with the efficient running of a city of 14,000 people. Those involved, you're probably proud of yourselves. You should be ashamed of yourselves. Okay, you have an opportunity to come and discuss and let us hear what you're saying, and you chose this opportunity. It is extremely disappointing. That's it.
Any other comments or discussion? Counselor Johnson?
Yeah, I just, since I made the motion, I just want to say that I would absolutely love to hear more from our community members about projects and programs facing the city in the future. And I look forward to future engagement with our residents on those topics.
Okay, all in favor, say aye.
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 Any opposed, nay?
Hey,
So there's 4 approve and Mayor Pro Tem Holloway voting against. So the motion passes. We are suspending the public comment. Okay, moving on to consent agenda. It contains approval of the city council meeting minutes dated March 11th, 2024. Approve the claims report dated March 25th, 2024. Is there Councilors, any discussion regarding those items? Seeing none? Yeah, for a second. All those opposed, say nay, or all those approved, say aye. Those opposed, say nay. So the motion passes and the consent agenda is approved. Move on to committee reports. Public safety, do you have a committee report?
No report, ma'am.
Community development, committee report? I guess the chair's not here.
Yes. Also, yeah, no report.
Parks and Public Works Committee, there's an AB 24-034 Water Reclamation Facility Effluent Mixing Zone Study. Project engineer Andrew Vining is present to introduce this item. Councilor Benson, would you please read the introduction and motion?
This agenda bill seeks approval to select Kennedy Jenks to complete the effluent mixing zone study for the water reclamation facility outfall 001. This work will fulfill NPDES permit requirements and will be performed as outlined in the effluent mixing zone plan of study.
All right, good evening, council.
First of all, what's the motion?
Do we need the motion now? Okay, move to adopt resolution number 1683, selecting Kennedy Jenks for completing the WRF effluent mixing zone study and authorize the mayor to sign.
second.
So it's been moved by Councilor Benson, seconded by Mayor Pro Tem Holloway. And now we'll turn over to Andrew Vining.
Thank you, Mayor. Good evening, council. To summarize, this is a NPDES permit requirement, relates to our water reclamation facility. We renew our permit every 5 or 6 years, and with it, it includes a number of limits for protecting the Snoqualmie River, but it also includes some reporting requirements to prepare for the next permit cycle. This mixing zone study is included in our current permit requirements, and the mixing zone will involve a model that will be performed during the low river period when the river is most susceptible. And the information will be used by the city and ecology prior to the next permit renewal. This permit requirement has to be completed prior to July 31st of this year, and we propose funding it through the Utility Operations Fund. I'd be happy to answer any more technical questions regarding the model. Or
Councilor, do you have any questions?
You had a better tan on video.
I do enjoy the construction site more.
Any questions or discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, nay? So it unanimously passes the water reclamation facility effluent mixing zone study. Thank you. Moving on is AB 39, Snoqualmie Valley Mobility Coalition Draft Resolution. Councilor Benson, would you please read the introduction and motion?
I am sure gonna try. Hold on a sec. There it is. Snoqualmie Valley Mobility Coalition and partnering valley cities are requesting the city of Snoqualmie join in a joint resolution calling on cities to prioritize transportation and accessibility needs throughout the Snoqualmie Valley in 2024 as a step toward improving transportation. Move to approve Snoqualmie Valley Mobility Coalition 2024 Mobility Awareness Resolution and authorize the mayor to sign.
Is there a second?
Second.
This is moved by Councilor Benson, second by Mayor Pro Tem Holloway for the Snoqualmie Valley Mobility Coalition draft resolution. We have, Council, do you have any questions for Community Development Director Artecha? I also see that Tracy Jones of Hope Link is here as well. We take a brief overview for the purpose of it, or any questions? Mayor Pro Tem Holloway?
So the agenda bill says draft resolution. What the proposed action is to actually approve and sign. Is this no longer draft? I'm just, the word draft throws me since I moved to do something.
Correct. It would be no longer draft, and we would
Okay.
be happy to remove the word draft so the mayor could sign something that doesn't say draft.
Yeah, if the actual resolution has draft on it, I move to remove draft and make it official for the mayor to sign.
Second.
It's been moved by Mayor Pro Tem Holloway, second by Councilor Benson to remove the word draft from the title. Any discussion?
Well, and just, the actual resolution doesn't have draft written in it, so we're good.
Is it just draft on the agenda bill, you mean?
Just says draft on the agenda bill,
Okay.
but
So we don't need.
we don't really
so
need to do anything.
Need to so cancel your motion?
Yeah, I'll withdraw a motion.
Thank you.
I'm gonna leave my second. Just leave it there.
Did you want an overview at all, or do you have any questions for Ms. Jones from Hope Link? Councilor Johnson?
I'd like just a quick overview of what exactly this does. I'm just a little bit unsure of what actually is happening. It's just this, we're supporting these things.
You're on the wrong committees. We've already previewed it.
I know. It can be short. I'm just a little bit confused as what exactly this does.
Okay.
Would you like a brief overview from?
It can be brief.
Is that all right, Trace?
Yeah, Tracy, come on up, please.
Hello, my name's Tracy Jones and I am with the Snoqualmie Valley Mobility Coalition. And we're here just to join cities in a goodwill, good faith, understanding that we all are working towards improved access, improved mobility, but not just for, I wasn't prepared, but because I don't have my slides up, but it's really about just coming together as a valley and making our voice heard throughout King County. Because the valley unfortunately does not have as many services due to our rural nature and character. So this just kind of brings all the cities together to say, hey, this is very important to us, and we'll then put this forward to Metro.
Councilor Benson?
I did get to see the presentation last week, and a lot of the things that are in the presentation, actually, I think pretty much all of the things that are in the presentation are things that we're supporting already, that we need better connection to Metro, better connection to other cities, better connection to Seattle, all kinds of things like that, improvement in transit around the our own city. All of these things are things that we're supporting and working toward, and we have them as priorities already as a council for the city of Snoqualmie and in our communications with the county and state. And so this is just a way for us to be working with other cities and organizations around us in accomplishing those things.
Right. And it says it provides or creates a unified voice and vision throughout the Snoqualmie Valley by advocating for accessible, affordable, convenient, coordinated, reliable, and safety mobility options. And so by signing this, where it also provides information to Metro, as you mentioned, to hopefully increase service and frequency and mobility options. So. So I
Thank
really,
you.
yeah, I really appreciate HopeLink spearheading this and bringing this. So. Any other questions or comments? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Hi.
Any opposed, nay? All right, unanimously passes. Thank you. very
Thank
much.
you, thank you, thank you, thank you.
Next item is solid waste contract discussion, which will be led by project engineer Patrick Fry.
I would just like to complain that there was not enough Patrick Fry in that video. Okay. Next time.
Yeah,
Next time.
next time.
Play favorites.
So evening, mayor, council members, staff, members of the public. So tonight, like the line item says, I'm here to discuss the solid waste contract. I hope that each of you have had time to dive in and read the contract that I sent out earlier this month. So that's a draft document that will be ideally going out to bid April 15th. And so the goal of tonight is kind of to settle on the levels of service and contract requirements for the new solid waste contract, which is going to kick off next June. So that's June 1st, 2025, not this June, but following year. And so the contract has already been reviewed by Mr. Linehan, our consultant, Jeanette Jurgensen, who's also online. It's out for industry review right now. So I really don't want to dive into legal language. That's been sorted out. I want to settle on, big broad strokes, level of service requirements. And so really, some of you have provided some items already that you want to discuss. I'm sure some of you already have some items in your head. But I want it to be a kind of an open discussion here. But a few things before we dive in. First, we can propose on the bids for add alternates. What would be the added cost for, say, or separate or different cost for easy one would be, what would be the cost if we wanted to do composting every other week rather than every week? We can do that. We can ask for that in the bid. But what we do want to do is limit the amount of those that we do. We don't want to plague the whole, bid document and make it kind of an a la carte service. So I'm going to request that we keep essentially those add alternates or just, separate bid items to about 3 of them, if we can. So really focus in on, what we want. And then if we want to figure out what that additional service would cost or what cutting service would reduce pricing, we certainly can. We just don't want to do that for every civil item in the contract. So just to kick things off, starting off with a little bit of an easier one, hopefully, is if we wanted to keep free holiday tree removals in the contract. So currently, city tree or holiday trees get removed for free. You put them out on the curb. They're supposed to be cut 4 feet in height, and they'll get removed for free for the first 2 weeks in January. So that's kind of an item that, we could keep, we could get rid of. Obviously, keeping that in, it's an added cost. Every little item is going to be an added cost. So what do you guys, as council member and mayor?
Councilor Cotton.
So if you cut down the tree, can't you put it in your yard waste?
You certainly can, but you got to be able to shove it into the yard waste can. And so that would be,
There's
that is included.
Uh-huh.
But if it was just placed on the side of the curb, then that, is not included.
I would certainly say I would move it much lower down on our priority list, since we can put it in our yard waste theoretically, or support the Boy Scouts.
Councilor Johnson?
That was effectively what I was going to bring up was I don't know if we have any data on this, but what proportion of people use the yard waste service versus putting it out on the curb for the scouts? I mean, I've always been aware of the scouts program, so I've always done it that way, but I don't know, maybe not everyone is aware. Do we have any information on that, or is it just?
Yeah, unfortunately, I wasn't able to get any data
Yeah.
about that. It's just not something that's really recorded.
But to the same point, I would move it further down the list for that reason that you could always chop it up and put it in a green bin, or you could put it out on the curb. So this seems lower priority to me as well.
Counselor Benson,
Yeah, I've never had a Christmas tree that I couldn't fit in the green bin. So when we're talking about a contract that's gonna go up significantly, I think the problems that we can handle with a pair of pruning shears, maybe we don't pay for those. Since we're gonna be having to increase our costs so much. The other just general point that I would like to make is that as I was reading this, some of the benefits that we have, I was completely unaware that they existed. I did not know about the one bulky item a year thing. I didn't know that that old folks could get carryout service for their trash. That was amazing to me. So whatever we do, I think we need to educate as best we can the public on what benefits they do have once we decide on those. But that's just a general point. Christmas trees, I think we can cut up ourselves.
Remove that item? Yeah.
Was there,
good.
go ahead. You interpreted a motion. I heard a discussion. Which motion did you
What do you-
interpret?
Are we doing a motion or is just kind of thumbs up
Really just,
Feedback.
feedback.
feedback? Yeah.
Way.
So
Yes,
I
this
think
isn't
we're-
gonna be the final, you guys will be able to review the final bid, when they all come in and when it goes out to bid.
I think you have close consensus on it. Oh, Counselor Watton?
I'd like to see more recycling options. And instead of the Christmas trees, and that's holiday lights recycling, because otherwise it goes into the solid waste stream. And I just know that because I collected 1,200 pounds of holiday lights at my office from people that needed to dispose of them in a very small sample.
You work with
Wow.
Griswold or something?
Yeah.
Counselor Cotton, did you have a comment?
Just a comment. I was gonna say, why do we need to recycle the lights when we can bring them to you?
Yeah, just bring them to your office.
Mayor Pro Tem Holloway?
I would like to outlaw lights and only last one season, but that's another matter. My own personal problem. But I would like at least the, again, as far as services going unaware, the one, your large item taken away per year per household, I think we ought to have price as a separate item and then talk about it as a contract returns. I don't know that it's actually used that much. There are other options to get things gone. There's a transfer station over by Rattlesnake. There are businesses which will come by and get it. So we need to look at that cost as a separate item and really make a judgment to keep it or have it go.
So the item that Councilmember Holloway is talking about is we could have essentially every household could get one free bulky item removed per year. So think you could get rid of your couch that you're getting rid of. It could be taken away for free. That could be in the contract. Or it can be a cost, $70 for the couch. I'm making $70 up, but it could be that. So
Why'd you make it so high?
I think
He's got a nice couch.
and so so obviously that would come with an added cost. And so what Councilmember Holloway is suggesting is we have that as one of those add alternate items, find out what it costs. And then obviously that would come with education to the public of, hey, this is available to everybody once a year. You just have to call up with, the waste hauler and they'll take care of it.
Or we break up our couch and put it in the.
Counselor
green bin for
Benson?
a few weeks.
All right, well, other items that, came up was weekly composting, recycling, just keeping it as it is.
Counselor Cotton?
I like honestly to see that during the winter months, whatever time period where we're not like out working in our yard, that we go to maybe every 2 weeks for 6 months out of the year. And then during the spring and summer months where we're more active out in the yard, then doing it on a weekly basis.
So that's certainly an option. I did discuss it with the consultant and she said, you know, certainly an option. It would lower costs some. But it has challenges. Other jurisdictions have tried it and mostly those jurisdictions or most of those challenges are in that, you know, you have to educate the public on that, hey, starting November 15th or whatever dates it is, you know, compost isn't every week and just getting that knowledge out there. So it's certainly something we could
We've done it
explore.
before here in the city.
Okay.
Yeah, Mayor, you even mentioned with a previous
I think it was every 2 weeks. It's probably, you're right, prior contract.
hire contractor, yeah.
It'd be like-
Was it just for the winter months or was
Yeah,
it?
yeah, it was, yeah.
Yeah, so that could certainly be an option.
I think it was always just every 2 weeks.
It may have been 2 weeks, just general.
General,
Throughout, yeah.
I mean, yeah, it's anything we can do to help lower the cost. But certainly keep up with the weekly garbage and recycling.
Councilor Johns.
Yeah, I wish I could hear more from the public about that. I don't know how the people who have large yards would feel about going down to, you know, every other week, if you're filling up your bin routinely. Yeah, I wish I knew how the city felt about it. But if it saves costs, then we might have to go that route because I would be willing to bet that most citizens are gonna look at the new contract and go at it, so they might be willing to make that trade.
Mayor Pro Tem Holloway.
Yeah, in thinking about, my only, I guess, one of the concerns I have is one good windstorm. And yard waste is gonna fill up real fast. We may, if we do decide to go to the, lesser service in the winter months, we may need to try to figure out some addition or some help we can provide when like a windstorm event comes through and we've got a large amount of limbs down all over the place. But something to think about later.
Councilor Cotton.
Because in the contract, it states that they will accept it in other forms. So if you have other receptacles, I've put out a second yard waste bin of my own. I've put it out in bags and stuff. They'll take it as long as it's either wrapped like limbs, you know, cut and wrapped to certain size requirements. So they, you know, they will take more in the event of that type of limb storm.
Mayor Pro Tem Holloway.
I have had occasion where they did not
They like
and
it.
had a discussion with waste management in regards to that. So it depends.
Yeah, so in the contract that's, you know, you're in front of you that's going out to bid, as it stands is you get compost for 1 can. That's it. You can pay extra, you know, to do what you're suggesting, but that would come at an added cost per resident.
With putting up like bags?
Yep.
Like,
Councilor Cotton.
oh, I'm sorry. Sorry.
So is there quoting it weekly and then bi-weekly? Some option like that?
Yeah,
In
can we
comparison?
Yeah, getting,
do that as an alternate and see what it
Yeah,
comes?
for 6 months of the year, compost every other week. Is that what I'm hearing? We wanted to bid it or?
as
6 months every week.
Mayor
6
Pro
months
Tem
every
Holloway.
week.
Yes, yeah.
He asked a question. Ooh, he tricked me.
Let's see, what else got brought up? Just something that you guys, might want to be aware of that, you know, one of the council members had asked was mandatory collections. Just in our city code, we require every single resident to have service with the hauler. It could be the minimum service, meaning, you know, what collection once a month, once every other month, whatever the minimum service is. But it's in our city code. So that's why that's in there. If you guys have any questions, that's just city code. It's not going to be part of this contract. That's, you know, a bigger fish is to say change city code. Really, those are the only items that got brought up to me in the past month. But if anybody else has any other comments.
Any other comments? All right, thank you.
All right.
Go with it.
The next is dissolution of East King County Regional Water Association discussion, which will be led by interim Parks and Public Works Director Jeff Hanlon. we still have quite a bit of on the agenda, so some of our visitors, if you could feel free to leave, you don't feel obligated to stay, just so you know.
Learn about water law.
Now we're gonna learn about water.
Okay. Terrible acronym. All right. Hello, everybody. I'm Jeff Hamlin, interim Director of Parks and Public Works, and I'm going to present today, as the screen says, the dissolution of the East King County Regional Water Association. I'm assuming most of you have never heard of the East King County Regional Water Association. It is a group of, well, I'm going to talk about a little bit more. These are considerations for the pursuit of these water right applications and our recommendations. And as a departure, I'm going to start with the recommendation. We are going to recommend that we do not pursue this. And I'll get into that as we move forward. So quickly, a little bit of background on this. East King County Regional Water Association partnership was originally formed between 17 entities, which we were, one of the 17. We were joining with the Seattle Public Utilities, SPU, on the Snoqualmie Aquifer water rights application. The water right application was actually two applications. One was a groundwater application and one was a surface water application. These were filed back in the 90s, early 90s, and they sat dormant until 2019. There's several reasons for that, but primarily it has to do with the ecology rule, which is, first in time, first in right. So folks could see that water was becoming a commodity, and to get your place in line, you had to get in your water right application. So there was all kinds of them. It sat dormant until 2019 when Ecology issued a letter to all water right application holders that if they didn't move forward quickly or start moving forward and making progress on these water right applications, they were going to cancel them. This was because they had literally tens of thousands of water right applications and nobody was moving on them. So rather than manage all that, they asked everybody to actually make progress on these things or to withdraw them. SPU is a consequence, initiated some planning activities for the project. And as such, they demanded a cost share from the ECRA organization. So the folks from ECRA got together and they looked at this, and we've known for a while that it's not a very viable project. And I'll talk about that a little bit more later. But they determined that really this project is not viable and that continued interest in the application has no value. This is due to an in-stream flow rule, which I can talk about a little bit later. But they decided at that point to dissolve the organization. The former ECRA members now must decide by April 30th if we want to stay in as a new partnership. And currently there's only 4 of the initial members that are still in on the project. So let's talk about the project a little bit. Let's see if I got, yeah, okay. So pump and dump, that's kind of what they call it. It's a colloquialism, but what it really means is what they plan to do is withdraw water from the aquifer. And this is our aquifer, by the way. This is the same aquifer that the city of Snoqualmie and the city of North Bend get our water from, primarily from our wells. They plan, by the way, this is Snoqualmie right here. And this is North Bend right here. These little black dots, those are wells, well points. So I think they have 12 or 13 well points. The plan is to withdraw water from the aquifer, dump it in the river, in which case it will flow down river. And then over on this side, this map, it's Carnation's on the right, Duval's up here. This is Carnation Farms. They're going to withdraw it from here in the river. This is the Tolt River pipeline right here. And so they're going to treat it and build a treatment plant, and they'll discharge, or not discharge, they'll dump the water into the Tolt pipeline. Their idea, their thinking on this is that right now this water comes down from the Tolt reservoir. If they can develop this project they can use this water during the winter time when it's available and then withhold that water back in the reservoir and save it for the summer months. That's kind of their concept. But there's problems. So shared water, shared cost. Shared water, we're talking between 6 million gallons a day to 20 million gallons a day, which would be withdrawn from the aquifer. This is during the period of the year when the in-stream flow rule is not in effect. I'm going to have to explain that one a little bit to you. So the in-stream flow rule is a 1979 plan, which was developed when the Department of Ecology could see that the Snoqualmie Basin or the Snohomish Basin, the full Snohomish Basin, was quickly becoming fully allocated. There just wasn't enough water to provide new water rights for all the applications and all the people that wanted access to it. So they said, all right, as a first step, we're not going to allow withdrawal of water from aquifers, tributaries, or the river itself during periods of the year when the river level drops below a certain threshold. That is based on a number of factors, but primarily what they're trying to address is downstream water rights holders. And they're also talking about the in-stream users, so the fish and the bugs and the habitat which surrounds the river. So they determine kind of a minimum flow that needs to be in the river at all times in the river. So whenever it falls below that number, that level, then the in-stream flow rule is in effect and you can't withdraw water from the basin for these junior water rights, which are apply to all of these applications. So shared water, they think that there is between 6 million to 20 million gallons a day that can be withdrawn from the aquifer without affecting downstream water use holders during periods when the flow rule is not in effect. So that would be a 50-50 split between SPU and ECRA members. That would be between 3 million gallons to 10 million gallons a day for each. And that's based on an operational analysis which was done in 2000. That's the last time they did an analysis. And so part of what we need to do to develop this project is to continue with a new analysis to make that, I guess, further those determinations and further the modeling effort, which is really what this is. Shared cost, the costs are eye-watering. The 2040, which is when they plan to develop this project, so 20 years or 16 years from now, they expect the cost to be around $268 million to develop the project. That would be, for all the well points, that's the water treatment plant, that's the diversion, that's everything. And then an additional $2 million in annual O&M costs. Of course, they would split that with us, with ECRA, in which we would be a quarter share since we're one of 4 if we stay in. They came up with, as part of this analysis, they're looking at a bunch of other different, they're looking at 7 different water supply projects. And so this is one of 7 projects. This is very low priority for them, or I would say not very low, but it's lower on the priority chain of these 7 projects. It's the only groundwater project that they have. The rest of them are surface water. But the basic cost share is, 1/7 of $2.5 million, which was the cost of hiring the consultant to do this initial stage. 50% of that is $180,000. Our quarter share would be $45,000. That would be our initial buy-in. That's how much we would have to pay upfront to stay in. SPU, of course, has some expectations with the partnership because now that the old ECRA is dissolved, there needs to be a new ECRA. So they have some stipulations. One is that the original intent of the water right will not change. That's important because if it doesn't change, then it has little value to us. Continued 50-50 cost sharing for all work related to the Snoqualmie Aquifer project. So ECRA and SPU would split those costs. And then our first commitment, of course, is $180,000 now from ECRA, or $45,000 by April 30th. Further expectations, SPU continues partnership with one representative, which is, the new ECRA. So that rather than negotiate or operate or continue to reassess and evaluate, they don't want to deal with each individual member. They want us to form one organization. The co-applicant cannot reassign their portion of the water rights. That's also very important. That means we cannot sell it, we cannot transfer it, and we cannot trade it. So whatever quarter share of the water right that's available is ours, and we can't do anything else with it but use it for our own consumption. That's important because it could be more than we can even use. An MOU, of course, between SPU and the new partnership will memorialize this agreement. So the considerations are the water right is subject to the in-stream flow rule, which means that that water can only be withdrawn during most of the shoulder seasons. So the winter and early spring and early fall or yeah, late fall. So there's a period between about November when the rain starts until about May, when the water levels start to drop, where this in-stream flow rule is not in effect. But in the summer months, when we need the water, it's not available to us to get from the well sources. So the only way that we can get an uninterrupted water source, so to get water during the times of the year when we need the water, would be for us to connect to SPU's system. And the nearest point of connection is Carnation. So we would essentially have to build a pipeline from Carnation to Snoqualmie to get access, an uninterrupted source of water that would pertain to this water right. The cost of that is extraordinary. It just, in today's dollars, you're looking at around 50 million bucks, probably more, because there likely need to be a pump station involved with it as well. And of course, we haven't done any work on that, but yes.
Councilor Benson.
So $50 million to get water that came out of Snoqualmie aquifers, went into the river, went down river to Carnation, got treated there. Then we pump that water back here
Goes into
through a
SPU's system.
through a $50 million pipe rather than just treating the water here ourselves.
Yeah, for an uninterrupted source.
Mayor Pro Tem Holloway.
Yeah, and I guess back it up one part. It's a $268 million project. Ours would be 1/8 of it to do, as you say, pull water from our aquifer, dump it downstream and get offered it again miles down the road at Carnation. And it's up to us to find a way to get it from Carnation to here, which would probably be another $268 million. So to tell you, I don't think you'll get an argument from council at this stage. We're happy to do a no.
Yeah. Okay, that's basically what I was gonna say. We don't think it's viable. Most of the ECRA members that got out of it don't think it's viable. I think North Bend is gonna jump out. I don't think they see it's viable. They see that they have the same issues that we do. And just that the cost of gaining access to it is so high that it may just be 2 members left in ECRA.
And who will those be?
That would be City of Kirkland and Sammamish Plateau Water Utility.
Councilor Johnson. Councilor Cotton.
Was there any other projects that ECRA was working on? I mean.
No.
Okay.
No, ECRA was formed just for these 2 water right applications
Okay.
solely. And it was, in the effort to gain more water access, to the region, right?
Yeah.
Back in the 90s, regional water supply efforts were favored because if it was just SPU coming to these regional locations out here, let's say, trying to get access to our water, obviously we're going to oppose it because that threatens our water source. Now, our water rights are senior to these water right applications. So even if this water right were granted, if they were able to develop it, they would be junior to us so that they cannot impact our water source. But I can tell you, it happens all the time. And then it's a court fight, right? So people fight over water a lot. So we would need, if they do move forward, to make sure that we establish some kind of contractual remedies so that, we can ensure and have safeguards in place so that we don't lose our water source.
Mayor Pro Tem Holloway.
Well, and I guess I would go even further that in the unlikely event somebody thought this was a good idea and they were to proceed with it, we should actually oppose it.
We should oppose it.
This is 12 wells taking water out of our aquifer. Aquifer is big, but it's not infinite. We should oppose it if they actually decide somebody thinks pump and dump is a good idea and it makes sense. And if they were to go forward with it, because in some ways, this project doesn't make sense at all. But
It makes sense to one or two entities.
sure.
Yeah, I think we would do better. Oh, I'm sorry.
Yeah.
But can we close at this stage and move on with the rest of the agenda? It's not to cut you short, but we got a long
Thank you.
night.
Counselor Johnson?
Yeah, I was just wondering then, if it does end up being that one or two entities are left, does it still pencil out for them at somewhere between a quarter and $500 million?
Well, City of Kirkland and Sammamish Plateau have more resources than we do, but I don't know that it does. Frankly,
Okay.
I don't know what their situation is, but they stayed
It's at least
in.
plausible.
They stayed in. Yeah.
Okay.
Counselor Benson?
So our share in whatever this would be, our share of the money that would have to go into this would be the same as Kirkland's.
Correct.
We would have to put it in the same amount of money that Kirkland puts in to be,
Quarter share. Yeah.
so it's not a
Counselor-
quarter share of the water, it's just,
It's a quarter share of
Quarter
every
share of the
portion. But that's more water than we need, right?
Quarter share of the water incarnation that you need now to put a straw in between here and there.
So Counselor, do you want to make a motion for the dissolution of the East King County Regional Water Association?
So moved.
Second.
Been moved by Mayor Pro Tem Holloway, second by Counselor Watton. All those in favor say aye.
aye.
Any discussion?
Oh,
Thank you.
Counselor Johnson?
Just want to make
That
sure.
we had
if-
discussion.
I know. If we did not take this motion, would not doing anything mean that we stayed in?
No, no,
you need
because
to
by,
affirm by the
yeah,
end of
we
the
need
month.
to
If we
notify.
didn't make the motion, we
Then
would
nothing
still be
happens.
leaving anyway.
Yeah, we'd be leaving anyway. Correct.
I'm not opposed to the motion. I'm just saying that technically the motion doesn't really.
Yeah, no.
I think it makes a statement.
Yeah,
Okay,
I think
fair.
Right.
yeah.
So all in favor say aye.
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 Any opposed, nay? So it's unanimous that the city of Snoqualmie it's a dissolution of East King County Regional Water Association. Thank you.
Thank you.
Is there any further report from Parks and Public Works Committee?
I don't believe so, no.
How about Finance Administration Committee?
No report this week.
Okay, so then we have council retreat discussion. Each of you received an agenda, proposed agenda. Mayor Pro Tem Holloway, do you want to speak to
Well,
this?
You're looking at it, paper in front of you. Again, proposed council agenda for the week. So two issues in regards to that. This looks to be a pretty packed agenda. So we may want to look at some trimming and, want to again ask you, how soon should we have this meeting when you would prefer? It says April 6th, but that's coming up pretty close.
Pardon me, what was that?
It says April 6th on the,
Right,
Right,
that's when it
but-
said. Were you talking about deferring it?
no,
Oh,
I just want to confirm April 6th, good. Alright, and I guess along the lines of trying to make room, because I'm really, I think 6.1 and 6.2 are probably good discussions. I'm gonna, my question is, can the WCIA training, can we do that in a roundtable before council sometime and use this agenda for the council's discussion? Is there any issues with doing that?
we just don't have a lot of roundtables available right now because we're gonna finish up comp plan and we're going right into
Yeah,
CIP and the budget. And I feel like there's some training that needs to be done. Just an hour.
I'm not feeling that you guys are, a council that needs remedial discussions.
I think it's more
Which I
about
have-
legal things like that. It's our insurance
Understood.
company.
But I mean, we get one day together. And this is all good for us to have a discussion together. So I yield the floor.
Counselor Johnson?
Yeah, I would tend to agree that it could be useful to certainly get those kinds of updates, but we do have council meetings and I believe that the roundtables for the comprehensive plan, those are supposed to finish ideally toward the end of April. Did I have that right?
Probably May.
This is according to the schedule we saw earlier.
Yeah,
tonight.
I've just adjusted it tonight, so we will go through the first meeting in May.
Okay, so like if that could hold off for, you know, a month and a half to the middle of May and do a roundtable then with that, that might be okay as well.
Counselor Benson?
I'm not remembering what WCIA stands for. I do remember, but Rob wanted to know.
That would be Washington City's insurance authority. So they do our property and liability insurance.
Yeah.
Cover our claims and
Should have believed me.
all that. Risk items.
That's what he even said.
You're gonna roll tonight. All right.
Okay,
Any other, I mean, either that or we can try to go through the agenda or we can cut something else out.
did you figure out? Okay. Counselor Watton?
I'm more interested on 6. If you want some feedback.
Okay.
And that would be just simply under 6.2 is how do we connect?
Well,
I prefer that than 6.1. I think it's kind of a combination of all those things. How do we connect?
and that's my strong, I think they're both important.
Yeah.
Counselor Benson?
So I concur with moving the other thing to May so that we can have more time on the stuff that, on the 6 stuff.
Okay.
And if we have a light agenda, we could throw in another roundtable sometime on one of our council meetings.
Fine.
Even, you know, in addition to a 6 o'clock, have a 7 o'clock round table and our training at the top of our agenda.
Right. Or you could do economic development discussion sometime else. We have on there, council priorities, goals, objectives that are accomplished, and then review the goals and objectives is an action item. So the goals that are accomplished actually gets back to the council priority tracker that we have.
Yep.
And so we can go through that big worksheet. We can figure out what has been completed on there, put status on it. And so that work can be done ahead of time by our staff. But also there's an opportunity there to get really into the weeds. So what we're trying to do is, you know, do we still have do we still agree with this, the priorities, goals, objectives, like thumbs up, thumbs sideways down? Is there anything missing? That could be a big discussion. You have to figure out how, I think Mayor Pro Tem Holloway, you had a conversation with them.
With Andrew?
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, this was pretty well the agenda we had worked out, didn't have timeframes on it at that stage.
Right.
To discuss with, and it really was based on our conversations to date to really, let's go through the goals and objectives, decide what we want to do. If we want to change anything, shake things up, that's kind of down there in the 6. And one of those goals and objectives for focus is community connection, so that's 6.2. And time up front to kind of a little get to know each other.
Right. So Councilor Watton?
So my other consternation is 2.2. Is that about rules of procedure for the council that haven't really
No, that's
reviewed? Is that a separate topic?
that's just how we're gonna behave in the meeting.
Oh, in the meeting. Oh,
Good in the meeting?
Good luck with that.
We should try.
Councilor Johnson? Oh,
you
were
can
you,
finish
you
it,
have a member? Oh,
Go ahead.
Just as a follow-up, I would like to see in here that we talk about how we want to, what our rules really are for our council, because I see it from other councils where they go through and review. it. We have something.
Yeah, we have.
But we haven't really discussed those since I've been on here for 2 years, unless I missed a meeting. And I'd like for us to make sure that we're clear on what should be in there and the expectations for each one of
Are you
them.
cheating on us with other councils?
Really?
so
Not even
Mayor
respond.
Pro Tem Holloway,
So, let me take that as a, outside of this, but I'll start, discussions in FNA. We'll, let's do it in chunks of the council rules and procedures, and we'll bring that through FNA to council for discussions of chunks of it and work our way through it. Okay?
Councilor Johnson?
Yeah, I agree in large part because it's, unless we're thinking about revising them, it's not really much of a discussion. It's more of a, hey, remember this.
They need some tweaking.
And if they need tweaking, then yes, that would also be something that moves through FNA as well. So I agree with that. If we did move the WCIA training, everything shifts up, and I kind of like the way that that breaks down a little bit better. We get the welcome, we get the economic development discussion done, and break. Then we talk about priorities, goals, and objectives, and there are 2 sections of that. Then lunch. Then we do 6.1 PM break, 6.2, and community partners discussion, which is very short. Wrapping up. I just think that that makes for a more logical flow, especially than having the council priorities and goals and objectives, and then lunch, and then go back and talk about that more. It just feels more coherent if the things that go together go before lunch and the things that kind of go together go after lunch.
Okay, and then community partners discussion. We're not quite sure what you're looking for there, who's going to lead that discussion. That was your idea, Councilmember Johnson?
How's that different from 6.2? I'm looking at it. Oh, that's right. That was with regard to things like the North Bend Parks, what's it called? Sideview Parks, as an example. How we communicate with the tribe, how we communicate with the school district, that sort of thing. And I realize that that's very short, and that could be a much larger discussion. So it could be that we strike that item and we stick with the council connections with the public.
Well,
place of that.
and let's,
Mayor Pro Tem Holloway?
sorry. Let's see how the time goes. If we have time for the discussion, we can have a
Yeah.
discussion. We should still have discussions in FNA to kind of work it up. And if we don't get to it in here, we'll bring it back in council and have a discussion in here. But let's have a discussion in FNA of what that looks like in prep for this. And if it's just an item, if time doesn't allow, we'll kick it to a council meeting.
Okay. So we'll put it as optional.
As an alternate, yeah.
Yeah. So we're removing number 1, WCI training. And we're going to keep both 6.1 and 6.2 in. And item 7, community partners discussion may be optional if we have time
If that
available.
works.
Enough time available. This could be a long, okay. Okay. Any other, sounds good. Any other questions or comments regarding that? Right? Great. Sounds good. So
Heck of a weekend. All right.
what was that? Mayor Pro Tem
Oh,
Holloway?
yeah, just going through my own calendar in my head. I've got a lot of stuff going that weekend. But this is one of them.
This is all day.
Yep, this is one of them. I'll be here.
Okay. Next item is Mayor's Report. So Arbor Day Foundation has recognized Snoqualmie this year as the Sterling Community under the Tree City USA program, meaning that we've received 10 years of growth awards. So it's a major award for us, demonstrating the city's significant commitment to urban forestry over time. This is an important award representing our continued dedication towards building a sustainable community. Thank you to our urban forestry team members, including our supervisor Phil Bennett and Jason Battles, Kevin Halbert, Kyle Markwart, and Christine Iverson, who were the urban forestry group. So we will have a official recognition in an upcoming meeting, council meeting, when we celebrate the Arbor Day proclamation. So that was fantastic news. In addition to the good news, we also safewise.com has announced Snoqualmie as number 8 safest city in Washington State. We continue to be in the top 10 each year, and it is based on percent of crime statistics per 1,000 residents. It's broken down in violent and property crimes, and this is a reflection on our police department, the service they provide, and their motto, "No call too small." So, thank you, police department. I submitted a request to King County to reduce our housing target through reconciliation. It will be on the Growth Management Planning Council agenda this week, and it's just going to be the beginning of their process. It's not just going to happen this week. It'll be probably addressed each month, as others may step up for reconciliation as well, or asking for more housing targets. So. And reminder, we are hosting SVGA meeting this Wednesday, so hope to see you there. And plan for April 18th, there'll be a town hall for King County Councilmember Sarah Perry, and there'll be more information coming. So, thank you. And moving on, committee, commission and committee liaison reports. Do we have any reports? Right, so we are then going to move into our executive session. Oh, do you have one? Councilor Watton?
Yes, I
Okay,
do.
thanks.
A very brief one, just given the time tonight. This last week was another installment of the Regional Law, Safety and Justice Committee. We have one of 8 representatives on that committee out of the 38 cities, and we talked about vehicle pursuits and the fact that it's actually going back to pre-pandemic as state law is, and there's quite the protocol before pursuits are being done, mostly for the safety of the community, but also to give officers the ability to do those pursuits, especially in helping to counteract crime that's going on. And the other thing that we talked about is the ongoing piece about care and closure, the 2025 planned closure of the juvenile detention center in Seattle. Now that's going to be pushed out to 2028. But it is being, there's a couple items that are very concerning, and that's closing the jail and putting people out, kids that are there out in neighborhoods, and it's getting a lot of pushback from the from law enforcement, and it's getting pushback from communities as they're realizing what kind of an impact that may have. So more on that in future months. Thank you.
Thank you. All right. Okay, we're going to move into executive sessions. We have 4 executive sessions pursuant to RCW 42.30.110(1) to discuss with legal counsel representing the agency matters relating to agency enforcement actions, or to discuss with legal counsel representing the agency litigation or potential litigation to which the agency, the governing body, or a member acting in official capacity is or likely to become a party when public knowledge regarding the discussion is likely to result in an adverse legal or financial consequence to the agency lasting approximately how many minutes, do you think?
So say 20.
Start with 20? Okay, we'll start with 20 minutes. And those attending the executive session will include our interim city attorney, David Linehan, city administrator, Mike Chambliss, community development director, Emily Artecha for the first one. And there is possible action will be taken following the closed session. or excuse me, an executive session. After the executive session is concluded, council will return to open session at approximately, I think we'll take a 5-minute break, so probably 9:30. Right. So we will, there's not a link. We'll just think, we don't want to, we need to keep probably this going.
Yeah.
Without sound or anything, okay? And then we'll come back into session at 9:30.
I love your
will
optimism.
stay here.
I just love it.
All right. So we are coming out of our executive session. It is now 9:40. We did extend it to 9:40. And we do have a motion. Councilor Johnson.
Move to accept the settlement agreement between the City of Snoqualmie and the King Street Property LLC dated 3/20/24.
Second.
Been moved by Councilor Johnson, second by Mayor Pro Tem Holloway. Any other, Councilor Watton?
I believe I need to recuse myself out of appearance of fairness.
Okay,
Very good.
You can stay here, though. You just can't vote.
Okay,
Councilor,
very well.
Councilor Johnson?
I just want to just understand, in our rules and procedures, I don't know off the top of my head here, is a recusal the same thing as an abstention, which is a yes vote, or is it a separate thing?
No, it is separate.
Okay, thank
He
you.
can recuse himself, yes. Okay, so Councilor Watton is recused. Any discussion? Seeing none, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, nay? So it's unanimous to approve the motion read in by Councilor Johnson. There being no further business to come before council, I will entertain a motion to adjourn.
So move.
Second.
Moved by Mayor Pro Tem Holloway, second by Councilor Watton.
Not recusing yourself from that one, are you?
All those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
And it was unanimous. We are adjourned.